Okay, today I'm going to be doing a data recovery on a Galaxy S3 that was sent here by a gentleman that would really like his data off of this phone. He would also like for it to be a working phone, but I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to be able to pull that off. So the symptoms here today are no power. Push the power button all day long, nothing happens. He, I believe, tried this with a known good battery and did not get anywhere with it. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to hook it up to my bench power supply. Let me grab me a couple of leads here. These two work really good for these. I'm going to hook up one lead to the supply and then to the phone. Actually, I'll hook them both up to the phone first. So the first thing I'm going to do, I always look at the battery and see where the positive and negative are marked and match those up. So I'm actually going to hook my positive lead up right here on the phone where positive normally goes. I'm going to hook my negative lead up where negative normally goes. Like that. And then I'm going to hook my power supply up here to this phone and see what kind of amperage draw I get. I've got my supply set to battery voltage. 5 amps. Way too much power. We're not going to hook power up to that again here for a minute. I'm going to check. Now what that indicates to me is a dead short. So what I'm going to do is check. I'm going to go ahead and check the battery line and see what we get for continuity. 1,500 ohms. So we do not have a short on the battery line. 1,500 ohms is plenty of resistance to not let 5 volts catch a fire. So let's go ahead and pull this phone apart. Let's see, grab me a magnet. Alright, pull this phone apart. Hardly ever work on a Galaxy S3 anymore. I still do charge ports on them. That's really about it. My success on data recovery on these has been pretty minimal. This one does show we have a major short though, so that at least gives me something to look for. I haven't had... Look at that thing falling apart. That popped off there way too easy. This phone has definitely been apart before. Move our screws off to the side. We are going to go ahead and remove the logic board and sort of visually inspect this thing. Oh. Okay, there's our Galaxy S3 logic board. This is his display with his ticket. I'm going to leave my ground clip hooked up, but I'm going to switch leads for my anode, for my positive. I'm going to do that so I can kind of poke around with voltage. And maybe it'll make it easier to narrow this down. So I know I have a short here, and I know I have a short whenever power is applied through the battery line. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to try to do most of this without schematics. I'm going to lay our battery out there so I know exactly who is who again. Our ground lead, I'm probably just going to go ahead and clamp into a screw hole. You know what, maybe that camera's not on autofocus. So I can put it that way. Alright, now if I raise this up to the camera, it focuses on it for you. Okay, I think we can survive on autofocus for today. So I'm hooked onto the ground there. I'm going to go ahead and apply power to the battery line. I'm going to turn our, well, you know what? I'm just going to leave our voltage just below normal battery voltage here. And I do not get a load that way, so that makes me think that we're not getting a ground through here. I'm going to go ahead and hook my ground on here where it would normally go. Right there. And I'm always double checking to make sure I'm not hooking anything up stupid. So, okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and apply just under 4 volts, 5 amps. I'm feeling for heat. Try not to take too much time. Oop, oop. Ow. Hot. Huh? I found the source of heat. Okay. Our source of heat is up here on the top of the board. I'm going to show you what the microscope looks like here where this is at. We have microscope, we have microscope. That right there. Are we in focus? Alright, so we clearly have a shorted cap here. I wonder what the purpose of that is. Yeah, a lot of times it's easier just to look the board over with your eyes, but this one here, it doesn't really show any signs of... Yeah, it does. We got some signs of liquid damage here on the bottom, and on the top right here, there is some signs of liquid, but to just hold it right here and look over the board, the actual spot where the hot spot that I found, there's no visible damage. So if you're holding it back away from your face, it's really difficult to try to spot that. I wouldn't have found that, not just looking over the board with my eyes. Maybe if I'd have sat here and really combed it good with the microscope. Okay. I have too much going on. I am not gonna use schematics to to troubleshoot this. This is just a data recovery job, so I'm not worried about that component and making this entirely usable, although probably what I'm going to do here is just grab that off of a donor board. First I'm going to see if I can clear our short. So I'm going to dilute this with a little bit of leaded solder. I might even go ahead and take it off this way, we'll see. There we go. This other side of it here, probably going to be welded. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and remove the camera, get that out of my way. I'm going to remove our ground. I don't need that anymore yet. All right. Let's see if I can get that off of there. Okay. Okay, so we're going to take our board again, put ground up where ground goes. There. I'm going to touch the A node with my power supply here. Decided it wanted to take a dump and would not run over a half a volt. That's with no load. Alright, so I'm going to hook the positive here up where the positive goes. We've got our ground hooked up and 0.00 amps. Why did I have a feeling about this one? This one gave me a feeling it was going to be an easy one. I don't want to upload only touch ICs and stuff like that. I also can't do anything really highly time consuming for troubleshooting right now because of our workload is so high. We got a lot going on. Alright, pop this board back in his housing. Leaving the camera out for now. Negative there. Alright, put my lead away like a dummy. Okay, and positive here. We have 0 amps, that's good. I'm going to hold down the power button. 100 milliamps, 160, 200, we're booting. This is most likely not a very good video if you're looking at this for the reason of trying to fix your own phone, because this is going to be something that was most likely caused by liquid, and chances are if you've got one that's not coming on, it's going to be a complete total different problem. So but as far as checking for the short to ground on the battery line, hooking up to it with something that you can measure current with rather than just putting a battery in it and hooking a charger up to it, those things will really help you narrow this down. This one here told me we had a short to ground somewhere, and then I got the ship burnt out of me, which told me exactly where the short to ground was at. So this phone is up and booted. His wallpaper I'm not going to show on YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the power supply from this. Now, just in case he does want to make this a working phone, I'm going to go ahead and transfer that component off of another board. Chances are, being that that's just a cap sitting there, it probably would make no difference whatsoever for me to put that on there. But the area of this board is so, I mean, there's not any density here. This is so easy to work with. Okay, we're going to tin this up a little bit. Come on. Good enough. Donor board. Alright, we are back with a donor board. We do have the same part. little flux. All right, good enough. Okay. Okay, I sure do wish all of my Galaxy S3 no power situations were that easy. I've given this thing a little bit of time to dry. Let me really just absolutely clarify here that if you have a situation where your Galaxy S3 is not powering on and you're using this video to try to get it working, this is only going to work if you have a short to ground on a main power line that's giving you enough heat to be able to narrow it down by feeling it. This one here damn near burned a hole in the tip of my glove twice, so it wasn't too hard. I hooked power to it and I felt here, ow, and when I got to the end, this fucker was burning me. So this only works for stuff that is shorted directly to ground, where it can sink enough current to give you enough heat to narrow it down. So I'm going to put this guy's camera back on here. I'm going to put the board back in the phone, and the next thing I'm going to do is see if it will charge his own battery. That one wanted to be a pain in my ass. Okay. Vibrate. Okay, so this is going to be a smashing success. This man is going to be very pleased. I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these screws in here. Ever since we started taking in mail-in repairs at this shop, the phone never stops ringing. It rings constantly. So you really don't always need schematics to figure these things out. This is a phone where I can get the international version of the schematics, but I can't get this AT&T variant schematic. And it's caused me some problems figuring out other issues, but whenever it's a clear-cut capacitor shorted to ground, it's not too hard to blast some current through the board and to be able to find it. So this is going to be a happy customer. So that's it for this video. It really is a short one. I'm going to take this out front, put it on charge, and shoot this guy an invoice. This has been here longer than it should have, so he's going to be really, he's going to be glad to hear from me. So that's it for now. I hope you all have successful repairs, and thank you for watching.